Welcome to what are we still in March? The day after St. Patrick's Day, March Read cohort meeting. Welcome to the spring. Hope everybody's enjoying flowers, and sorry for Nebraska that's dealing with their largest fire in history. So, I just
We
have
just got
one.
36 inches of snow.
Huh? We need some more snow out there.
We just got 36 inches of it.
Ooh, there we go. That's much needed water, even though it might be a little cold and problematic. All right. Before I hand this over to Pete and Jen and our BIA folks, I just want to say thanks for everybody who did apply to the Fire Arc and the Lead Read courses, because we've got tons of applicants for it. I know that the Lead Read people heard back, and the Fire Arc people who applied will hear soon. We are, I will tell you, tentatively in the background, we're trying to get a second Lead Read or a lead coordinator class in place. So in California, but it's not solid enough for us to put an announcement out yet. We got to make sure we have the room that we're trying to get. So, but keep an eye out for that. We hope to have a second class for that. And then hope everybody M280s are starting up and people are starting that. I hope it's going well. And if you have feedback on that class, get it to the Resource Advisor Subcommittee in NWCG. That's all I got. Go ahead, Pete.
Thanks, Lynn. Good morning, everybody. All 126 of us so far. I'm excited about today's topic, and just this morning I was thinking about the germ or the seed that planted this topic, and it was a chance encounter between one of today's presenters and I in the Continental Divide RV Park in Pinos Altos, New Mexico, about 10 months ago, I think. Mike Frank was on the Trout Fire as a heavy equipment boss, and I was on the Trout Fire as a PIO, and we ended up in that excellent vantage point right on the Continental Divide north, on the Continental Divide, watching a big air show on that fire, and we got to recognizing each other and chatting, and that in a winding way led to us today in a great topic of the Bureau of Indian Affairs and tribal lands and considerations for resource advisors. So a multi-part set of presenters today, and we're going to start out with Jennifer Hickman. And Jen, I'll let you take it away and do a better introduction to yourself. Thanks for being here.
You bet. Thank you so much. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jen Hickman. I am the first presenter for today's session. And I guess we can just get started. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and then we can begin. But if it's okay with everybody, I think I'll just turn my video off so I can present on my screen here. So stand by. And all right, so I'm guessing everybody can see my screen here. Today's topic is going to be about BIA as it relates to tribal lands, and of course our big topic, consideration for resource advisors. And so let's get started here. So what you all can expect from today's cohort meeting is I will begin to talk about BIA's role and mission concerning read work. We have a gentleman by the name of SeanParker, who is the water quality officer with the White Mountain Apache tribe, who works there in their community of White River, Arizona. And so Sean will talk today about the tribal aspect of doing reef work, and the importance interaction with the federal side of things. Uh-oh, looks like my PowerPoint here messed up on that end. So we also wanted to have Sean come and bring the tribal perspective. He is a tribal employee there at White Mountain Apache. He recently has become an individual who has stepped forward at the tribal level and has done a lot of resource work. So we're definitely glad that Sean is able to join us. I did meet Sean a couple years ago when White Mountain Apache experienced the Flying V fire. That was my first encounter with him. So good to have him with us. And then after that, we have Mike Frank, who is also works for BIA. He's a training officer there at the Western Regional Office. And so Mike will bring his experience and his perspective as being a heavy equipment boss and also as a reef on many assignments that he has encountered. So just to give you all an overview of what you guys can expect from today. All right, so let's begin. So again, I'm Jen Hickman. I am the post-wildfire recovery. I work for the post-wildfire recovery program as our watershed specialist. My role in dealing with resource advising within BIA stems from more of a collateral aspect. And so my duties are to coordinate the BIA resources, and currently, I'm also the primary member for BIA on the NWCG Resource Advising Subcommittee. Obviously, there's a lot of changes that are coming with that, with the unification, which our program within BIA has been rolled up into the new unification. So lots of changes coming. In relation to the NWCG reorg, that's been pushed back to July 1st, 2026. I have been requested to become the alternator or the alternate to Brian Van Truten, who is actually the DOI representative to the Resource Advisor Subcommittee. So just some changes there. I know that many of the subcommittees with NWCG are getting redrafted. Sounds like there's some new members, lots of changes coming about. But for now, this is where things are at. We're still continuing to operate with the NWCG subcommittee. And for now, I'm still the BIA rep on that until further changes come about. So prior to coming to BIA, though, I worked for the U.S. Forest Service for about 20 years. I was the soil scientist there, and largely that's where I got involved with resource advising. And prior to that, I was really more just on the resource side of things, on the natural resource side, and so really didn't get too involved in much of the fire until after a few years working with the Forest Service. And it was actually an FMO that suggested that I look into more of the resource advising, and that's sort of where things kind of took off for me. So anyhow, fast forward to where I'm at now. Again, my collateral duties within BIA is to help coordinate and facilitate just some of our efforts within BIA. And so some of those efforts, I think someone has a hot mic. I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm not sure if you can check all the mics, but sounds like someone's got a hot mic. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Thanks, Jen. Not hearing any feedback on my end, but maybe
Okay.
Lynn can work some magic to see if somebody's hot here. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody. If you can, take a look, mute your mic.
All right.
It was
thank
me.
you.
I fixed it.
Okay. All right. Copy. Moving forward. Okay. So within BIA, as I was saying, it's a fairly new, effort that we've been working on. And I've had some great support from people within BIA. Mike Frank is one of those individuals who has supported our resource advising program. And slowly, we've been able to interact with other qualified resource advisors and ARCs as well, both within BIA and outside of BIA. And so part of those efforts was a request that came in to me was that I start to build up our resource advising program. And naturally, I know when I was with the Forest Service, the reed work, is kind of one of those gray areas. Like it's really not, doesn't really fall to like the fire folks. And so majority of the time, it's really your natural resource people that take on those efforts. And so when I came to BIA, my supervisor asked if I would be willing to, take on those efforts and start to grow our resource advising program. And to be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure what that looked like. And so I feel like I'm still continuing to learn, make some advancements. And of course, now under this new unification, I'm not really sure what that looks like for future work, if, how the resource advising program will be approached. But for now, I will continue our efforts within BIA. So last year, I had a discussion with Mike Frank. I just kind of met him through email at first. We chatted a few times, and his boss, Carlos Nosey, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with, he's the Western Regional FMO there with BIA. He suggested that I get in contact with Mike Frank. So I reached out to Frank and asked him, what his thoughts were about growing our program and maybe what we could do within BIA to not only increase, the numbers of reeds or reefs, but also, what can we do on the tribal side to start bringing more of tribal folks who are interested, but may not necessarily work for BIA, but work for a tribe. And so SeanParker is one of those individuals who is not a BIA employee, but works on the tribe side. So anyhow, through some of our discussions, we thought we would start out small. And so Mike Frank helped me put together our first preseason meeting, and we approached it with two of the regions, with Western and the Southwest region. And we basically, because we were already kind of at the end of the season or approaching last year's season, I thought, well, why don't we get started with this and let's see how this goes and what kind of participation we get within BIA. So we held that first preseason meeting. It went really well. We had a combination of BIA folks and also tribal folks attend that meeting. As a result of that, what came out of that first meeting was a request for us to continue to work with, providing information to our resource advisors. So one of the things we thought we would do is do an after action from the season and kind of get an idea of where things were at with people, how things went, and maybe if there was some lessons learned. So a couple months ago, actually last month, we held our after action review, and we had some folks from Fort Apache who were very active. They're at the agency. They came and participated. We had Rick Valentino, who is the agency administrator for one of their fires. He came and presented. And then we had another individual, Aitana, who also is a forestry, works in a forestry program there at Fort Apache. And she was a lead read on one of their fires from this last year. And she kind of got thrown into that role, but she performed really well. And we thought, well, it'd be a great opportunity for her to also present her experience on that. So basically that after action review was just, an opportunity for us within BIA to coordinate and also to provide more information. Again, that then led to another action item that was requested from us. So as many of you are aware, M280 is the new resource advising training that many folks have to take. If you already don't have your REEF qualification, and you are still trying to obtain that, M280 is that required training. So again, they're talking with Mike Frank and some other folks. The request came in like, hey, can BIA put together an M280 for not only for BIA and TRIs, but also make it more of an interagency approach because the state would also like to get involved. So through those efforts, we started to put together a planning meeting. And so that actually came forward. I was super excited about it. And which now brings me to my next slide here. I'm going to do a little pitch here. So we do have M280 scheduled in Albuquerque on April the 7th through the 9th. And it is an in-person training. We have a cadre of folks from the BLM office, from the Park Service, and of course within BIA. And so it's a combination of those folks. I've been very fortunate that I've had great support from the other DOI bureaus, and those folks have been putting on trainings. In fact, they just completed one in Denver. And so they're going to come down and help assist with our M280. And through that, I'm hoping that we'll have an opportunity to have other folks within BIA step forward and step up and also want to look at possibly putting on a training next year again. And of course, we just don't know what that's going to look like under this unification, but I'm just going to move forward and continue to operate as is. So there's two trainings that we have coming up for the M280 in Albuquerque. The first one is April 7th. That's a full day with a half a day on the 8th. And then the second session also begins on the 8th at 1300 and then ends at 1700 on the 9th. We currently actually have 3 spots available. So if there's folks that are on this call and are interested in participating in M280 and you have an opportunity and maybe some time, hit me up on that and let me know if you are interested. Like I said, we have 3 spots available. So just wanted to present that as well. And I know I only have 20 minutes, so I got to hustle up here. And then the last thing I just wanted to also provide, within that new program that we're building up within BIA, it's been an opportunity for us to, provide resources. Obviously, there's great resources out there like the cohort. Some of the other bureaus are very active in building their program. And so that's the other thing that our program within BIA is hoping to do, is that we could be that conduit between some of the trainings that are out there, the publications, and, just be able to provide our people within BIA and also at the tribal level where valuable information. I know a lot of things have changed with the resource advising, the reef qualification. And so I just wanted to also remind folks on the call to be checking NWCG for some of those changes. And as you know, I'm open here. If we have some BIA people on the call, or maybe you're a tribal member working for a tribe and you have questions about the changes with the reef qual, please reach out to me. I'm here to help in any way I possibly can. Anyhow, so that's about it. It's fairly short. I just wanted to quickly give an overview of what we've done with MBIA and what we're planning for the upcoming M280. So that's all I have right now. If you all have any questions, and if not, I know we've got a tight timeline here, and I'm hoping that Sean is available to present next. Pete, do you have any questions for me?
Thanks, Jen. I think our best bet is probably to save questions to the end. Let's just see. Sean, are you on with us?
Hi, yes, I'm on.
Perfect. If you can come on camera, that'd be awesome. And if not, just take it away.
Okay, great. Should I share my PowerPoint or I can just talk? So either way is great.
Your choice, Sean. We'd love it either way.
Okay, let's see if I can share. Let's see. I can't get that figured out. Yeah.
Not seeing it quite yet, Sean.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and go. My name is SeanParker. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Jennifer and Mike.
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
Hey, Sean, do you want me to go and then you can figure out your sharing issue?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Mike, I think you were supposed to go second anyways, right?
Oh, no, it got switched up, but it's not a
Oh.
big deal.
All right,
So,
no problem.
all right. Anybody see my screen?
Maybe seeing Mike's presentation now.
Okay, let me get this to presenter mode. Is that working? Oh, it's
Seeing a
gonna
slide
do the...
titled "Working with Heavy Equipment as Resource Advisors."
Okay. Since I have a double screen, it's... Oh, there we go. Okay. So I don't know if it's stretched out because I have a double screen, and the extended screen can make it look weird. I've noticed on some presentations. So.
Sean, not hearing you. Looks like you're muted.
Looking good, Mike.
I'll present after Mike.
Oh, hey, yeah, Pete, sorry, we switched it up. Sean's going to try to figure out his sharing issue, and I'm going to go first. Yeah.
Still not hearing you, Sean.
Is anybody else?
Hey, Pete, this is Jen.
Mike, should we go to you next, and hopefully we can work out the technical difficulties with Sean, maybe?
Yeah, Pete, that's what we're doing right now. Sean's going to figure out his presentation, and then I'll go. Are you getting me? Anybody getting me?
Yeah, we hear you. I don't know what's going on. Pete, can you hear us?
Okay. I guess the problem, this is Pete. Problem's on my end. I'll shut up.
Thanks, Pete.
Hey, Mike, This is Jen. I think you're good to present, and then we'll just go with SeanParker after you. And yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Thanks, Mike.
Yep, that's exactly what I said. Anyway, so my name is Mike Frank. I'll be covering my role as a heavy equipment boss and a resource advisor. I created this little PowerPoint to kind of cover out that aspect as my role as a heavy equipment and resource advisor experience, but I'm also going to try to integrate some of the tribal aspects as well. We tried to create this talk today to inform folks of the dire need of not only including natives on the fire line, but try to cover some of the intricate balance that we can have working with tribes. You know, it's a very delicate balance dealing with fire and natives, and the role that fire plays upon the ecosystem, and it's an integration, not only environmental, but also there are some spiritual, religious aspects to it as well. All tribal nations around, not just tribal nations, but all indigenous cultures around the world consider fire to be a very sacred and powerful balance to Mother Nature. So we're trying to incorporate that understanding as well into the work that we do. So this is just a little PowerPoint that I have. Wanted to share that with folks. So my name is Michael Frank. I'm the Western Regional Training Specialist with BIA, but now with the U.S. Wildland Fire Service. I started my career back in 2000 as an AD firefighter with the Pueblo of Zuni, which is where I'm a tribal member of and born and raised in Zuni, New Mexico. I did that for 3 years, and I kind of figured that I wanted to expand my knowledge and get further involved with forestry. So I went to Colorado State. I got my degree in forestry there for forest management and fire science. And while I transitioned to Colorado State, I was involved in the SCEP program, which is the Student Career Experience or Employment Program. It's now called the Pathways Program. It's a really good program to get folks that are moving up in the natural resources realm to combine work experience and education. So when I switched over to that, I started my career with the Forest Service and did 4 years in Colorado, 2 years in Washington, and then 4 more years in Nevada, primarily doing hotshot, engines, rappelling, fuels work. And then I got placed in Nevada as a fuel specialist there, running the hazardous fuels reduction project with the Spring Mountains National Recreation Area. And it was a pretty intense job. I was in charge of a $7.2 million fuels reduction project, and it was a pretty great learning experience, and I loved it. And after that, I figured I wanted to learn more on the forestry side. So I switched actually over to becoming a forester with the BIA, did 13 years with Fort Apache. And it was awesome experience doing that as well. Got to work directly with, tribal employees and Native American foresters, doing large-scale timber sales. Fort Apache is one of the few remaining reservations that heavily logs, and so it was really great to see strategic logging that was being done that actually helped reduce fuels and integrated natural resource concerns. And the forest there is extremely healthy because of this. They've been doing this for decades, and actually almost up to a century now of logging in that area, and large scale diameter ponderosa pine and Douglas fir The reservation there ranges from like 3,000 foot elevation up to, I believe it's like 11.3, and so all kinds of timberland. I believe it's 1.6 million acres, and half of that is forested. Well, large tree forest. There's also a PJ component in the lower end, and they also do manage that as well too. So it's a really great learning area to understand forestry. During that time, I became a heavy equipment boss, and one of the cool things about doing that is that they really wanted to integrate resource advising into that role, because it was very important that understanding the impacts that heavy equipment can do upon the land during suppression activities as well as rehab. And so understanding that balance with those roles was really important. They have vast amounts of native sites in the area and lots of artifacts. There's still burial sites that are in the area, and yeah, I think last time I looked at it, there was over several thousand sites on the reservation, and a lot of it was still untouched, just because of the restrictions of reservations and people not being able to go on there to interact with all that archaeology impacts. So awesome place to learn. Some of the pictures there, that's working with some of the Chumash folks that you guys know, and that was actually my first experience as a Reed. I got to work with June Kenosha on those Padres with the Pine Fire, and worked with a couple of the engine folks from the Chumash. And my first resource advising role was awesome, because it was a 12-mile hike into a wilderness fire, and we got to spike out there the whole time and look for sites with 3 of the Chumash folks. So I got a great experience on my first role, and so couldn't have been happier with that. So I'll be going over working with heavy equipments and heavy equipment bosses, the expectation and reality of what that role is, and then efficient uses of the equipment. Very important that we understand that these machines can cause a lot of impact, but they can also repair a lot of areas that require heavy equipment to implement those repairs. So this is one of my trainees on the fire. He's an Apache tribal member, and so you can see the intense kind of areas that we work in with as heavy equipment bosses, and very rewarding role as a firefighter, in terms of the amount of work you can do and the amount of line created. Obviously, you can see the impact of just that one single dozer scarring that ground there, and yep. So it can be very useful, but it does have a huge impact upon the surface. So everybody that's worked as a resource advisor understands the inherent dangers of working with heavy equipment, and how safe you need to be around those areas. So they move massive amounts of material, and just everybody needs to keep their head on the swivel. And it's always can I say this? It's always delicate work with them, because they do move a lot faster than folks anticipate. You know, you always consider heavy equipment to be moving very slow, but when you're hiking around them and moving up and down steep grades, they can definitely move a lot faster than we can bounce around on our feet. So that just make sure to be ready and be aware at all times. So obviously there's numerous types, sizes, and capabilities of equipment out there. Every tool for every project. They're all very useful and all inherently dangerous as well. So definitely working with these folks and understanding what they can do beforehand and their capabilities is vital. So I always tell my trainees and resource advisor trainees when I'm working with them is like, take the time to talk to those operators and ask them what they're able to do and what they're comfortable with and how much experience they have on the fire line. You can really gain a lot of insight from just taking time to talk with them. I understand some operators and heavy equipment bosses can be intimidating, but they generally will be very open with talking to you about their capabilities and experiences and what they're comfortable with. So most folks that I work with are very forward with the information they want to help share to make the mission easier to accomplish. So just get out there and talk with them when you can. Just like the different types of equipment, there's different types of heavy equipment bosses. I'm very open and engaging with folks, but there are some that are reserved. So just make sure that you talk with them so you can learn what kind of person they are, within the first 15 minutes of interacting. If somebody is very forward and wants that interaction with the resource advisor and says, like, hey, we want your input, we want you around as close as you can be, but obviously not in the way of the work. So just make sure you understand that we're all humans, we all make mistakes, and we all have different ways of approaching a project. So just make sure you get a chance to interact with those folks. I'm always on these read calls in the chats telling people, hey, you really want to make an impact as a research advisor, try to work your way up to become a heavy equipment boss one day. I'm one of those guys that I have to see the work being done, meaning I have to do it and I have to know it's done right. So I always put that little plug in there, learn to become a heavy equipment boss. And you can do the work yourself and see it being done. So I understand it does take some time to get to that level, but this is more of an outreach towards the younger folks and new folks coming into this. If you can get a chance to, get to your single resource, which I know is hard for some non-fire primary folks, but it is doable. It does take some coordination with your supervisor and other folks, but if they see you making the effort and the interest, they'll definitely help you. Obviously, communication in all aspects of our job is very important. So make sure that you're talking with everybody and anybody on the fire line. Constant communication with operators and the heavy equipment bosses is vital. I did notice that it's a pretty important part of the M280 training now, radio communications. So make sure that you guys are focusing on keeping updated with everything, weather impacts, where the fire is moving, where the equipment's moving, aerial resources. I tend to carry 2 radios as a heavy equipment boss, one strictly for my operators and then one covering the announcements from the TAC channels and the main aviation channels and command channels, just so I know both sides, because heavy equipments don't stop working. They keep going. They can hardly even hear sometimes. Some of these open cab dozers, they're not hearing much. Some of the operators working with the heavy equipment for so long can have hearing issues. So make sure you're up on your nonverbal communication. You can work with those guys and understanding that if you see the heavy equipment boss moving their arms to stop the machine or move the machine, it's good to know what those hand signals indicate. I always go over that with my operators, and they actually prefer nonverbal communication. I also carry a strobe flashlight with me. Really great for catching aviation, but it also is really great at catching operators' attention. That strobe light will catch their eye and they'll immediately stop and to see what's causing that blinding flash in their direction. So it's always a good recommendation for folks working with heavy equipment. Make sure that you tell them, hey, I do have a strobe. I'd like to get your attention with it. And you can also have flash sequences. 2 strobes means go, 1 strobe means stop. So just make sure you have all types of communication at your disposal and use them. It's very important for your safety. So expectations in reality, a lot of new resource advisors come into this thinking like, I'm gonna have this great impact because I know the resources out there and I have all this knowledge on how to help firefighters avoid damaging an area or impacting this species or any kind of knowledge that you hold. But there is what you're looking for, and there's the reality of what these equipments can do. We've had this discussion over numerous read calls that we always want a rubber tracked, small type excavator, and we end up getting the type 1 and type 2 excavators and have to make it work the way we can. It's always preached upon that, we can't do the work. You can't go back and do the work, so we need to do the work as good as possible the first time. So make sure that you're understanding those limitations and expectations beforehand, that you can actually address the needs that you have with the equipment you have. Obviously, working in the resource advising world, you folks know that ordering the equipment is not always going to be what you get, and sometimes you have to make do. And sometimes we've said, hey, we can't do the work with this equipment, and we will talk with the local agency where we can come back in and do this. But many times that's also hard, because if you know that it's not being done now, it won't be done. So just understand that you try to do as best you can with what you have. So I this is my hope for the best, expect the worst, and then always have a contingency plan. I'm one of those guys that has contingency plans upon contingency plans, because it's always good to have a backup for what you're going to get. And so these reefs do have a profound impact upon what is happening. Over the past 10 years that I've been doing this work, I've been seeing the full change of how resource advisors were seen as somebody that was not always integral to the mission. Their advice was taken, but it wasn't always stressed upon, to slowly start moving to this shift where, hey, we need the resource advisor now, and we need to find out what we need to be aware of. So it's gone this real full shift of being a very important part in this role. And I want resource advisors to know that you should be ready to be an integral part of decisions on the ground. And I want you to understand that you need to be experienced and ready to understand what's going on. You can't just throw ideas you have from your local area. You need to understand the area that you're working in. Some of the stuff that you learn on your local area may not be pertinent to what is being done at whatever fire you're on. So learning the area that you're in beforehand is awesome. When I go to a fire, I try to take every chance I can to learn that. So just plan for the future and understand that your impact is very profound now. Learning and teaching others what you know and learning from what they have to offer is also great. So understanding that the fire is moving fast and hard, little time to consider all factors, but if you're there from the beginning through the end, you can obviously have your impact being utilized. So just fire will move quickly, and we need to be on the ball to getting those impacts addressed. Some actions during initial attack, extended attack, critical burning periods will cause suppression efforts to change at the drop of a hat. So you guys need to understand that these things happen in real time. The sooner you are able to make your presence known and your concerns addressed, that's good. So just understand that time is vital. The impact can be long lasting, and but it's also vital. You can see some of the artifacts shown. That Lynn, that's one of Lynn's famous bowls that we got on the Thomas fire, I believe. And that was actually found by a heavy equipment operator. So that's a really great success story for resource advising community. There's a spear point I found on the Yurok tribal land. So teach others about your role and teach folks about tribal concerns. That's going to help everybody. Those guys at the higher end of the management scheme, they're still learning every day, and they need to understand what you have to teach them. Planning, obviously, for all those events that could take place. Look at all the contingencies, and we have to be ready for all the changes that impact us. Just remember, this stuff costs a lot of money and time, so we need to make the best use of it. So understanding what their capabilities and using them properly is very important. Keep emphasizing this point that we have the right tool for the right place and time. That's not always going to happen, but if we know that beforehand, we can try to make do with what we have. Strategize what you're going to do with the folks on ground. That's my heavy equipment boss trainee talking with the operators, explaining like the areas that they can go and the things they can't do. And as you can see, there's 2 dozers there, a harvester. I think there was 18 pieces of equipment doing this line on the Calf Canyon. So it's a very fast-paced and strategic movement of big machines, and we need to make sure we're doing it right in the first place. One thing that we always harp on as Reed is cleaning equipment, and since I'm a resource advisor as well as a heavy equipment, I definitely take the time to emphasize the importance of this. And equipment operators will tell you that regularly cleaning their tools is beneficial for them as well, because they can see leaks, breaks, and other equipment failures while doing this. So it's very vital for them as well. So don't think it's the end of the world when you tell them that they need to clean their equipment. It does give them the opportunity to look over their stuff. So one thing I've always noticed as a resource advisor is you order a crew to help and the crew doesn't show up. So just understand you might have to do the work yourselves. I've ran into reads that were dumbfounded when I asked them, like, hey, we're gonna have to dig some water bars and we're gonna have to throw some slash around, and they were like, well, I didn't come here to do physical work, but sometimes that's necessary. And just remember that you do have to get your hands dirty, but while maintaining your safety as well. This is one of the ladies from the Chumash tribe, and she was down to get working, and she's on a hotshot crew now, but she definitely was even before that role, she was ready and eager to do the work. And I was glad, because I don't see that being done all the time, and I kind of emphasize that it needs to be done. So we're saving questions, and I'm sorry I took probably a little longer than I should have, but hopefully Javis is ready.
Sean.
Sorry, Sean.
Sure. So let's see. I think. Can you guys see it?
It just came up.
Great. So I'll go. I've got 10 minutes and 30. So Hello, everybody. My name is SeanParker. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Mike and Jen, for inviting me to present. I'm with the White Mountain Apache tribe, and I'm sharing my experience as a resource advisor. So, my name's SeanParker. I do the water quality with the White Mountain Apache tribe. Where the environmental background is not fire, and I'm a tribal resource advisor and a reef. So here's some of the things that water resources kind of does. It's a whole list of my job, my normal job beyond fires. So I think I'll pull up the point later on with this. So getting off to starting out, and to be honest, it was one of the hardest things was starting off. We're not part of the BIA, water resources, and we're not part of the tribal forestry group. So we're kind of the outsider, I guess. There really wasn't a true clear path for us. So gear, what kind of gear do we need? We got to order it early. There's something that says it's agency specific. So ask your agency. Go to the agency, like, hey, do you guys have any specifics? What's going on? Nothing. It was difficult, right? So I'm not complaining, just letting you guys know the truth on how it kind of was a little difficult for us. We weren't part of the email system. I guess for trainings and anything of that sort was kind of difficult. Also, some of the training requirements were not clear. So we'd show up to classes sometimes and they're like, hey, did you get your FEMA XYZ? Or like, oh man, that wasn't listed. That something that we need. Like, oh yeah, well, it's required for our agency. Like, oh, okay. So we go back and have to go get some more training. So we jumped through quite a bit of hoops. Gear was another thing. Gear's pretty expensive. I think we just bought some of my crew some things, and that was thousands of dollars. And well, at least I know now what to get, which is great. But yeah, the missing prerequisites. We show up to a training and there's extra prerequisites we're needed. Purchasing would takes a while for us to get our gear. Question our roles, I guess, like what's water resources doing here? They're not fire people. I guess that's kind of the mentality we kind of got. Communication, like I said, with the email part, but we weren't kind of told of trainings and let's say like annual refreshers or things of that sort. And so it brings me to my first assignment. It was during a fire where we had all of the environmental professionals with the tribe and the chairman, the outside resources and BIA, they all met, and the chairman said, I want our people to be involved. I want our people on the fire. And so the Leon Ben asked the crowd, is anybody a resource advisor? And then I raised my hand and said, great, let's get him ordered up. So that's pretty much how that kind of started. And I'll tell you a quick story. I kind of got my learning the fire culture. Where I was going to the ICP and I pulled in and I got kind of chastised for pulling in the wrong way. It was like, oh, way to be fire ready. Like, man, what do you mean by that? But apparently you're supposed to park, kind of backwards and sort of way where you can pull out quick. Oh man, this is and it's somebody on the call. I'm not going to call out your name, but it's kind of like, it's funny because it's a culture that you have to learn. The fire world, it's a whole nother world for sure, especially for not being really truly a part of it. So the reality of being a reed. So you're busy all the time. You're hiking in, hiking out. You got to be at the ICP camp. You got to be at the different divisions, everywhere. If somebody finds an arc site, you get called to there. Then they need questions on water. Where can we get water from? This happened here. There's no water, XYZ. There's you got to think about the land responsibilities. Is this tribal land or is it BIA land? Is it, you know, how much land is being used? So we're expected to be kind of everywhere at once, and it is truly fast paced. It's high pressure for sure. So a few key lessons, and I might touch on this too later, but just take care of yourself while you're out there. And also before the fire season, it's, I'm going to say what they always say is, get ready, you stay ready. And that's true. It's easy to get burned out there because we're moving around a lot. Everything's urgent. You needed here, there, and ICP camp and on the line. You need it in these meetings. So it gets hectic. And so I encourage you guys to take care of yourself, take breaks when necessary. That's fine. One of the things I got told to me is like, the guys out there on the line too, they take breaks and they get shaded up. And so same for you. I know it's hard to do, but just kind of breaks are okay sometimes because you do no good when you're out, right, to the team. So yes, make sure to care for yourself. And so some strengths, I guess, so kind of a thing with tribal reeds is we wear many hats. We're not as we're not just a one thing, or we're not just water or wildlife or forestry. We're kind of like a Swiss Army knife because of all the hats we have to wear and all the things we have to know. So we understand the tribal policies and environmental compliances, and also our own community. Whereas, we're not just compartmentalized. We have to fill in the blanks a lot of the time. So we have a broad skill set, and that kind of allows us to see the whole picture of it's complex, of all the complexities that are going on in the fire world and beyond that. So some lessons learned, to seek information early, to build relationships. That's I think that's a huge one, is building relationships. So getting our gear, we're lucky that while we were starting off by building relationships, we were able to borrow gear from different people and different organizations, and we had a pack from this department and a helmet from this department. So it's good to have to build relationships for sure. Know your role, so really dive into the trainings and really know the resource advising, know the fire world. That's another thing. Have thick skin for sure. That's going to be a hard one because you meet different characters out there, and different people want things a certain way, or like what Mike Frank said earlier about the resource advisors, that kind of change in the mindset, and I feel like as part of that change is kind of switching from that, what are resource advisors, they get in the way, and that mindset's still kind of around. It's not totally gone. Speak up. I think it's great. As resource advisors, you have a valuable insight, and you're speaking up for the environment. No policies. That's another huge one because in some resource advising, they'll tell you how to talk to fire people, and first is talk about the benefits. If that don't work, go to the policies. And so always know your policies. and not everything is written. So you're going to learn a lot. Not everything can be put in a book. So to me, that's huge. There's a lot of lessons I learned. I know they try to prepare you for everything, but you can't prepare for everything, right? Not everything's going to be written down. So just be flexible, be open-minded, adapt, and just remember you're going to be learning a lot of the time. Something for the agencies and for just improvements all around is a clear guidance. I know things are changing and it's always changing for sure. So if you're confused, we're confused, right? Include tribal reads early on. So communicate, that goes with checking the water and then the camps and et cetera, because we've got a lot of ARC sites and things here that haven't we don't know where everything's at, and that's kind of part of our cultures because we kind of don't want to know exactly where everything's at and put it on a document. Respect tribal knowledge. It's it's just the local people have local knowledge of the area, and that should be respected. Consistent expectations. So some documents are needed for this fire, but not needed for the next fire, or not needed for when this person shows up or when this other person does it. Just consistent expectations, increased communication, and just overall inclusion. And let's see, I'm coming up with time. So advice, just ask questions. You guys have great perspectives. Don't be afraid to show your perspectives. If you work with one tribe, you've worked with one tribe. So every tribe is different and they have different policies, procedures, cultural practices. So if you work with White Mountain, might be different than St. Carlos for sure. And even though we're sister tribes, are just right next to each other, things are a bit different. Your voice matters. Take care of yourself. Take pictures. It's always good to take pictures. Sometimes I forget. Be flexible and have fun. Just remember that you're doing a great job, and just smell the roses every now and then. We're right now, so we have 2 qualified reads. 3 actually qualified reads. We have 2 more in progress that are going to get trained. 5 total personnel. Communication has increased greatly since I started. The relationships with the tribal forestry and BIA has improved dramatically. We're doing great. I think we have good synergy right now, and now, or more than ever, I feel like our voice is being heard. So yes, and closing, I think we're here to work together and just increase communication and doing your part. I know we're still getting everything figured out and but we're moving forward. And I think just the big part is just remember we're all on the same team. But that's it for mine. I think I went a little bit over 10 minutes, or maybe right at 10, but good. Thank you.
Fine, Sean. Time-wise. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sean, Mike, Jennifer. Really appreciate your presentations and your perspectives. And it's always been great to work with you. I don't know if I worked with Sean, but I know I've worked with Mike and Jennifer, and it was great. And it's always great to work with the tribes. I know we're right at 9 or just past 9:30, which is when we normally end. But if there are any big questions that anybody has, we can try to take a couple if the speakers still have a little bit of time. Sorry about my halo light.
I just wanted to send a big thank you super quick. I absolutely love today, and it's so incredibly important and powerful. So just thank you so much.
Hi, Pete and Jen, Lynn, this is Jen. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity for us to come on today and present. I really appreciate everyone for reaching out to us. Some of you folks have already requested the nomination form for the upcoming resource advising training in Albuquerque. So I've responded back to everybody who's hoping to join us. So yeah, get your nominations in sooner than later. Like I said, we only had about 3 slots, possibly 4. So if you are able to join us, we would welcome that, and we look forward to seeing you all. Thank you all very much.
Just real quick. I'm muted. Let's go ahead.
Dirk?
Yes, I want to say thank you, Lynn, and the Reeds involved with hosting this panel. That's nothing more important than to share the information. We're blazing a trail with this type of communications. And Mike, Sean, you guys are speaking from the heart about being out there on the line. And that's all the stuff that Gilbert Romero and the Chumash San Ynez folks, they're going to be marketing and promoting at next week's Tuolumne Band of Miwok Reed training. So those lesson plans shared, just complement each other, share it. It's all the same information. We're all going to benefit if we work together as a team. Reed world, okay? That's number 1. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dirk. All right. With that, everybody have a great day, a great week, a great month, and fire season's here in some places, so be safe out there.
Thanks, everyone.
Lynn, do you want us to just stay on?
Yeah, even if we can just touch base for a couple minutes, that would be good.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so for any of the cohort managers, if you can stick